Cleveland early, and they just start rolling, and they don't slow down. And even as good as Kansas City is, they're going to have 3 or 4 missteps. As good as those great.
All right, we're live now, just so you know.
Never thought they'd go.
Alrighty.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Cool. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. Welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown Podcast. It is Thursday, June 18th. Thirsty Thursday.
Thursday. We are chilling. The Ravens players, some of them, it seems like the new additions have been doing their conditioning test and apparently are not chilling. They are dying while doing it, as it is notoriously difficult. We've been talking about it in the Slack chat a little bit. We saw Tyler Huntley tweet out basically saying how incredibly deceivingly difficult it was and how he was dying. And then Pat Ricard chimed in, Willie Snead chimed in. Famously, guys like Mike Wallace have failed the conditioning tests and things of the sort. So some preliminary football conditioning going on. Football is close to being back. Feels like, they've kind of they had the fortune of having the coronavirus occur and the entire pandemic sweep as it was the off season, whereas other sports were delayed in starting their season or cut off, like the NBA or MLB. So they've been able to kind of navigate these waters. It feels like a little bit more smoothly, have plans in place, have protocol, even though John Harbaugh said that the protocol is essentially impossible, but I'm sure they'll end up handling it well. And for me at this point, it feels like football is going to be back by the time it needs to be. And that's, around a month from now, a little over a month from now, I think they scheduled camp to start. So interested to see how things pan out and play out, but here we are.
Yeah, the way I see it, it's probably not going to be the way, it typically looks with fan involvement at every single level, whether that be attendance to training camp, whether that be preseason games, selling for regular season prices and stadiums halfway packing themselves for the interesting phenomenon that is. And fans at regular season games. I don't know if we're definitely going to be seeing it like that, but it definitely does seem to be like things are proceeding pretty much as normal. A little bit weird having a couple players test positive for the virus in Texas, which has been, I don't want to be overly critical, but they've been somewhat cavalier with their reopening, and Governor Abbott down there has not been overly concerned with the effect that reopening is going to have. At least that's what some of the criticism seemed to be. So you had Zeke Elliott testing positive. You had, I think, a few players on the Texans. Maybe I'm wrong. I probably should be looking this up because I don't want to botch it. But yeah, it's definitely a weird situation in that sense. But you got to think they're going to have time to be rested up, recovered, and ready to be tested negative by the time camp is opening.
Yeah, absolutely. So all that protocol in place. I know University of Maryland had they've started their camp and had all their players come in and do the mandatory testing and are isolating guys off and all that good stuff. So I feel like they have enough time to figure everything out between college football and the NFL and get people tested and have appropriate procedure and protocol. There's just so many other questions that stem from it. And the one that we'll end up getting into is, Matt Judon talking about a contract extension with the cap and how much cap teams are going to have being uncertain because of this. And they don't know how to project, because usually they just typically project the NFL to grow every year, I think by like 4 to 7% in terms of viewers on television for games, and their revenue is somewhere, under 10%, but grows in a good year. I think they jump up like 11%, something like that, over the last 10 or 15 years. So this is the first year where they have a real uncertainty of how is revenue going to look. I would imagine maybe TV drives up if ticket sales are limited, but there's just a lot of variables right now that are in question. And it's obviously affecting situations like Matt Judon's and people trying to work and teams trying to work on extensions and wheeling and dealing and all this stuff and player transactions. So interesting time. Maybe it ends up being a little bit more hype than bite in the end if things can get back to normal. But, if they don't, who knows? It's going to be a wild world. I mean, there's a potential for baseball, for the MLB to not play this year or next year at this point. Feels like they are going to try and, hammer something out. But how detrimental is that to the sport of baseball if, they don't play for 2 years? Especially
that was already kind of dying by the wayside, as, some people would say. I don't know if everyone would agree with that, but
I definitely would. I've lost a ton of interest in baseball over the last couple of years, and it's going to sound stupid because we love analytics for football, but I feel like the game that I loved of baseball as a little boy with starting pitchers, trying to pump out as many innings as they can and stuff, and game has just been so slowed down. But I consider baseball a kid sport in many ways, where when you're a little kid, little boy, little girl, whatever, you really enjoy going to the ball game with your parents, and it's just this, these big dudes hammering the ball and stuff, and there's just this glory about it when you're young, and that's really detrimental to the sport for 2 years of kids, enjoying other sports and not being motivated to play baseball necessarily by that, and love baseball and consume baseball and become lifelong fans. So that's, something like that happens, that's extremely detrimental. So
yeah, I mean, it's a local sport at this point, basically.
Right, exactly. And I mean, there's one of my favorite things to emerge from this entire situation of these sports being all tangled and twisted is, I think Steven Ruiz from USA Today tweeting out, retweeting an article that says most teams are pretty much not going to pay their minor league pet players, and saying, I think Kyler Murray made the right choice because he was going to be riding around on a bus for probably a year, 2, 3.
Yeah, that was something that I remember saying at the time, and it was not a popular opinion. Everyone was saying, why doesn't this guy just go play baseball? It's like, well, do you want to go play, outfielder for a minor league team for 3 years to maybe make it in a dying sport? Yeah, you get the guaranteed money. Or do you want to be one of the 32 potentially most famous athletes in America, maybe even wider, by the way football has been growing? It seemed like a pretty obvious choice to me at the time, but yeah, I don't know. Everyone loves their groupthink, I guess.
Right. And it's just difficult. But again, the NFL kind of lucked out a little bit. Let's say this situation broke out now as opposed to in, late March, April into the United States. They would be scrambling left and right the way that the NBA had to and that baseball has kind of had to. So luckily the NFL did get their CBA banged out, but we'll see what the implications of that end up being. I mean, who knows? This could go so many different ways in so many different ways. And it's interesting to follow along, but, it's kind of worrisome about being in weird situations. And hopefully, especially with our own purple lenses in mind, the Ravens are in position with a rookie quarterback that just won an MVP. They're in their peak window to try and pump out a Super Bowl in the next 2-3 years, hopefully. And hopefully that doesn't end up having some sort of strange situation prevent them from playing to their fullest extent or something of the sort. But it's all very interesting to follow along and think about. And people are getting, pretty twisted into conspiracy of, exactly what's going to happen with cap and the revenue and this and that and the other. But I think it will all end up returning to normal at some point.
Yeah. And I mean, on that note, we can jump into it a little bit. You talked about Judon a little bit earlier there. He obviously had a ton of comments on some pretty good stuff in his press availability, his video presser, which was done in front of a pool and a pretty baller house. So good for you, Matt Judon. What's up, Garnet? So his highlights from the presser, this from ESPN's Jamison Hensley. Not sure whether team will hold organized protests for national anthem. That's going to be a big topic. Doesn't know whether he'll get long-term deal by July 15th. Will be fine playing under tag all season. Acknowledges difficulty of maintaining social distancing at camp. So a lot of the stuff we've been touching on. And then Sarah Ellison with a quote from him. I'm pleased to get tagged. I feel like only a few players get to go through this in their lifetime. As much as I want stability in the future, I'm proud of where I'm at after being a 5th round pick.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I've kind of mentioned a few times in regards to Judon being a 5th round pick, whereas, the guy who's been the 1-year wonder and getting franchise tagged and floating around, and I've, definitely contributed to the rumor mill of Jadeveon Clowney to Baltimore, but Clowney was a top, a 1st round pick, a top overall pick, and he's made a lot of money at this point. So him getting franchise tagged is not a happy thing for him. That's not, a good positive thing to happen. Whereas Matt Judon, I think his career earnings up to getting tagged were like 4.4 million, something of the sort. And he's going to quadruple that with this franchise tag. That changes his life. That changes his family's life.
And Clowney got drafted 2 years before him, and he's still yet to really get the bag.
Right. Exactly. So, Clowney's probably made, I don't know, ballpark $40 million. And at this point, Judon's made 4. So it's different situations. And Judon, feels blessed. And as you mentioned, I believe he just bought a house and, got settled down and knows that he's, going to be able to have some stability financially and all that good stuff. So it feels like he was very positive overall, ready to play, ready to go. He's always funny. And then Jeff Zrebiec, apparently, Sarah Ellison was touching on him basically saying, do you think the coronavirus situation is going to impact your ability to be signed long-term or something of the sort? And Judon responded, I don't know. Do you? And then Zrebiec basically laid everything down and was like, well, I'm worried about it now. Like, yeah, he probably didn't even think of that. So that's, that situation we touched on earlier of the uncertainty and teams not maybe being willing.
By the way, that kind of reminds me of like Jeff on Twitter when he's like interacting with fans. He'll like tweet something and then like the fan will like ask him like either a question that's like has a very obvious answer or that he's been asked like a million times, and he just still for the millionth time just lays out everything exactly like in a literal sense. I just love it.
Yes, he shuts people down on Twitter, and I love it. He's very professional about it, does a great job, but it just goes to show, like, I don't know, Judon, I guess, wasn't thinking about that, and he's probably so damn happy to know $16 million before taxes are going into his damn bank account and to take care of his family and all that good stuff. So different state of mind, different than a guy like Clowney or another, top pick that's kind of being like Zeke comes to mind. I don't think Clowney's been a brat necessarily, but Zeke was being a damn brat about it. He ended up getting his, you can't blame him, whatever, all that stuff. But I don't think Judon is anywhere in the category of the franchise tagged player who is, pouting, all frumpy and grumpy about it.
It is weird because he's definitely had some moments on Twitter, and you got to be like really deep dive Twitter person to notice this, but there has been situations where he'll like tweet like a GIF or something, or he'll like have some like cryptic subtweet, and everyone's always kind of relating it to his contract, and he kind of wouldn't confirm or deny whether it was. So there was always a little bit of hesitation, but him coming out now and saying this definitively, like, no, yeah, I'm happy with where I am. I'll play under the franchise tag, whatever. Like, I know it's going to be fine. I think I don't know if that's what it's been all along. I don't know if somebody got in his ear and said, hey, listen, this is going to help you get paid if you just kind of take up the right attitude. But yeah, I definitely think it's a welcome, I don't know if I'd say change, but it's a welcome approach that he's taking. I really do appreciate that.
Sure. And I mean, he's been durable, man, played 16 games every year, plays his tail off. I don't think effort has ever been a problem for him. And he is just seems like a good overall dude. Him and his wife had a very difficult situation with, I believe, what is the term? Miscarriage or something of the sort, and then ending up having, kids and going through all of that. So seems like a good guy. And when he tweets that stuff, like GIFs of people or GIFs of people running around, like money bag things and stuff, like for all we know, like in my opinion, it's like he just likes to mess with everybody on Twitter and make them go crazy.
Well, he definitely does do that. I mean, we've seen him and Humphrey just going 15 rounds since the both of them have been here.
Humphrey just has problems with everybody on Twitter. He's always he's been talking smack to Ronnie Stanley today. Like,
by the way, I mean, like every former Raven is just absolutely taking pot shots at each other out in these Twitter streets, man. It's nuts.
They really are a petty little group, the former Ravens. Like the journeyman ones who are here for a little while have some weird little petty Twitter atmosphere. I don't know how to explain it, but
well, I mean, yeah, it's like weird. You had the Marlon thing with Stanley, which was, I think Marlon was saying like something that Judon said about Stanley was funny. Stanley said, "Oh, Marlon, why do you never want to blitz me?" And it came from Judon saying that offensive linemen, they get the best gifts and like they get all the love from their QB, but it's okay because they're fat. Which like, and then Stanley's chiming in. It's like Stanley's one of the like best looking men I've probably ever seen on an offensive line. He is a in shape man, and usually this is your corner. So I'm going to let you chime in if you want, but I just think he's a well put together guy. So he probably did not take too kindly to old Matty boy calling him out.
The same way that Nick Boyle didn't take too kindly to Tony Jefferson.
I mean, that was like, we're talking about like people taking pot shots at each other. That was like Jefferson's initial comment was pretty bad, and then Boyle just pulled out a howitzer and just fucking let him have it. I mean,
Tony was tweeting some funny stuff like after
the GIF reactions, because like those two have actually gone forth about that type of thing before, but it was not to that degree. Yeah, this was
there's no actual beef there, I don't think at all.
I don't think so either. Yeah,
Boyle is like a problem to people. Like Boyle like bothers people in the locker room. I've seen many instances of that he like annoys people and messes with people and stuff. And he also is like, his play style has to be if I was a linebacker or defensive end or something, I would fucking hate playing against Nick Boyle. He cuts people. He is the most menacing blocker that just is relentless and he's such a weird body type, and he's like not a great receiver, and he also will do really kind of.
He's a pest.
Yeah, he's a pest. He's a nuisance, and he just cuts people out and gets in your way and does whatever it takes, and sometimes Boyle gets run the fuck over, but it is a very effective delay of a really good DE or something. Like the one comes to mind of Clowney in Seattle. They open the game with the PA boot, they bomb it to Boykin, and they basically trap block Clowney with Boyle, and Clowney just judo tosses Boyle over his hip, but it was a highly effective block because it got Clowney out of the equation and got Jackson in space, 50-yard gain. And that's Nick Boyle to me in a nutshell. But
so confirmed joke, you had Cody Kavanaugh tweet at the conversation, "Damn, Tony, chill." And then Tony replied, "LOL, it's a joke, chillax, big dog." But just to bring it back and not bury the lead here, really funny tweet from Tony Jefferson. The more I think about it, you had Alicia Smith. I'm not sure who that is, but she tweeted out, "Major study finds steroid reduces deaths in patients with severe COVID-19. Tony tweets, "You should be then if you catch it, bro," with the prayers emoji at Nick Boyle 86, which is pretty sick. Boyle replies, "Never took steroids, but maybe they will help you since you can't stay on a team and are currently unemployed."
Shots at my man Tony.
The first reply that I see is Ronnie Stanley doing the Trump no reaction.
Oh boy,
it's a great gif.
It is. They're fun team to follow around on Twitter. But yeah, Boyle, man, he's a damn pest. And Tony Jefferson has always been an animated little shit talker too. So there you go.
I mean, I feel like in terms of just pests and shit talkers on offense, I feel like the second or third string tight end could definitely be one of those guys, like the blocker tight end, and then the strong safety, I feel like is also probably high on
Bernard Pollard.
So they're just kind of doing their thing. I guess moving it along, we had, I believe this was from ESPN, who did one of their decade in review rankings. I think it might have been Field Yates, ranked the Ravens as the number one defense of the 2010s. How they fared was defensive efficiency, 59.4, first, points per game, 19.7, third, yards per game, 322.6, second, and then they wrote, Baltimore barricaded the end zone for offenses over the past 10 seasons, 7 times finishing in the top 10 in fewest points allowed, including 4 years among the top 3. At the start of the decade, the Ravens defense dominated with 2 future Hall of Famers in Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, and 2011 NFL Defensive Player of the Year Terrell Suggs. By the close of it, Baltimore was turning turnovers into touchdowns with Eric Weddle, CJ Mosley, and Marlon Humphrey. The Ravens finished this decade with the highest scoring offense behind quarterback Lamar Jackson, but their identity over the past 10 years remained on the defensive side of the ball. That was from Jamison Hensley.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think back to, and I think sometimes a lot of Ravens fans and a lot of fans in general are guilty of maybe, not watching other NFL games, other NFL teams consistently enough. But the Ravens' red zone defense over the past really 2 decades, but this past decade has been so stymied. And the DP's years were defined by the bend but don't break crap that, you and I have both said how we kind of hate, but it was true. They just stopped teams in the red zone. Touchdowns were hard to come by. How rare was it for a team to put up 40 points on the Ravens and have those kind of outlier games that boost those statistics up one way, whereas it was a lot more often for the Ravens to hold a team under 200 yards and to, 10 points or less. Seemed like the defense, especially the last couple of years, has been really able to, I feel like earlier in the decade, they would kind of play down to their competition, play up to their competition, statistically in that regard. But last couple of years, I mean, let's think about the Miami Dolphins on Thursday night with Matt Moore and some of those kinds of games where they just absolutely stonewall offenses for four quarters. Happened a lot more than the other way around. So it just makes sense. They've consistently been, a top 5, top 10 unit year in and year out every year. So it makes a ton of sense. And I would contest that they've been the top defense over the last 2 decades because the 2000s to 2010 period was even better. they're even more historic defenses, but they've been able to acquire guys like Eric Weddle that, keep the cerebral aspect up and just keep moving, keep replacing, bringing in veteran free agent defenders. And that has been the real key for me into why that could be considered the top unit. They go get those value 29, 30, 31-year-old guys and bring them in on relatively team-friendly contracts for a couple of years and end up getting a really, really good couple of seasons out of some aging guys. And it helps.
As much as, the decade was kind of defined a little bit by stretches of mediocrity. I mean, you had basically after the Super Bowl in 2012, you had a lot of mediocre teams, like 2014 being an exception. And then obviously they turned it around 2018, made the playoffs, did the same thing obviously last year with a number 1 seed, which is of course pretty darn good. But overall, I mean, there was one bad defensive year in 2015. I mean, and then the other were like pretty much all top 10s, I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong numbers wise, but it just kind of definitely feels that way. And I think this is a good job by ESPN to rank them number 1. They had some other cool stuff on that list. I think they ranked the top offenses. I think the player of the decade was Tom Brady. So yeah, overall solid job there by the ESPN. Moving on, Madden 21. You excited for Madden 21?
Oh, I'm pumped. I can't wait. It's always super exciting to have a Raven on the cover, as it's only the second time that it's happened. It felt inevitable this past season. It was like, I wish I could have gambled on that, put my entire life savings into who the Madden cover athlete would be. It was hilarious when Lamar kind of just like sheepishly.
It's so Lamar. Like
he sheepishly just like kind of accidentally ruined ESPN or ruined EA Sports like reveal of who their cover athlete was in the middle of interviews. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to be, I'll be on Madden this year. And then the reporter was like, wait, so you're going to be on the cover? He's like, yeah, I'm going to be on the cover. And we're like, okay, that's pretty big. Like that's huge.
He couldn't just like back off it at all. He was just like, yeah, like he got me. He caught me.
Exactly. And I'm excited. It looks like they're going to be working on some open field tackling stuff in this one, which this past one, Madden 20, was pretty shitty with. Pretty hard to tackle in the open field. I feel like they're going to keep going. It's also pass rush simulations and getting some quicker wins. It's too damn hard to, like, if you have like a really good pass rusher, if you have TJ Watt or Chandler Jones or something, you should be able to win off the line way more.
Or Matt Ioannidis, who for whatever reason is just a tank in Madden every single year. When I play the Redskins in that game, he just has like 4 sacks every single time. Maybe I just have shitty right tackles or I don't know how to play. I definitely don't know how to play to some extent, but Matt Ioannidis, beast in Madden.
Matt Ioannidis, beast overall. Love.
Yeah, he's a nice little player.
Love the Redskins defensive line. But yeah, so I'm really excited for Madden. Hopefully a little more like receiver animations.
Which Garnick just chimes in saying no upgrades for receiver animations.
I think there will be some. It was kind of crappy this past Madden, and I always use the Ravens every year for, I think since when I started playing Madden, like 2002 is when I really started. 2003.
You used the Ravens every single year since then?
Yes.
You're a absolutely dedicated fan.
Dude, for the Ray Rice, Torrey Smith, Anquan Bolden, Dennis Pitta Ravens were amazing to play with. Jacoby Jones.
They were good. There's a lot of crap in between that and beyond that.
I had to put Tyrod Taylor in a couple times.
I would do that every time if I were using them. I couldn't play with Flacco.
He was all right. Their defense was just so like playing deep with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed defensively. You get so many interceptions.
See, I never user defense unless I was like playing against a buddy and I had to. I'm just not good at it. I don't know why, but when I do franchise, I always sim D.
I love playing some defense. Love playing.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, but
Yeah. Well,
whatever. You're also probably sitting there like, breaking down like the intricacies of like cover 3 and stuff. You're much more of a tape guy than I am. Maybe I need to become more of a tape guy. I don't get good at defense. Who could say?
Dude, just have to do the tutorial in Madden and it'll explain everything to you.
I hate those tutorials.
I mean, I like
dude with like a fake deep voice who's like, yeah, this is how you
on defense
ball hawk feature. It's
on defense, I'll use like quarterback contain so that my edge rushers like won't even rush and just wait for
I had to start doing that because like when I first got to college, we were playing a lot. And I was always a guy who scrambled with the QB. And like when I got to college, like none of my friends did that. Like they didn't even like realize that you could really like take advantage of that. So I would like start out with like Cam Newton and just run 80-yard touchdowns on my buddy's defense. And they would get really pissed off. And they would try to do the QB contain thing. They didn't really know how to work it, so it wouldn't really work with me too well. But then they started trying to mimic me with the QB running thing, so I started using the QB contain. So I kind of like learned user defense for a little while, but it certainly has been a long time.
I actually lied. I used the 2009, I think, Saints, and I used the 2000 and either 16 or 17 Falcons because
Falcon Cross.
They had a play out of trips. It was like a trips bunch with a tight end to the right, and it was a pistol. And I would just absolutely dominate using that play. And it would be Julio Jones on a deep post and unstoppable. But yeah, Madden, I'm excited for. I'm excited for it every year. About 3 years ago, I didn't get it for a couple months, but I've gotten really back into it the last 2 years, and I definitely am into it again. Hopefully Hollywood Brown is as fast as he was in the last one. His 97 speed helped me win a lot of games where if you press him, he will score a touchdown because he is too fast to press.
Yeah, I mean, I was having a little fun on Twitter. Like, I don't know. I'm just getting a little burnt out on it. Maybe it just feels like it's been the same game since Madden 16, which I thought
so false.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But I tweeted after the trailer. This actually got a little bit of traction that ball carrier stick skills. I feel like that's been a new feature in the opening trailer of like 5 of the last 8 games.
Oh yeah, they always update it a little bit. The past,
but you also play online and stuff, right?
Yeah,
I'm a franchise guy.
I only
haven't done anything. They haven't done anything good with franchise in a long time.
I used to do fantasy draft franchises when I was young.
I can do that. I like the realism of it. I love like the business side of shit and like the storyline.
Well, I love the actual draft. So like, it's so fun to be able to like draft the.
Yeah, but like I actually would get into like the fake drafts that they have, like just the computer generated like players, and like they would have storylines with that. They've pretty much taken a lot of those out. I don't know. It's just annoying.
I used to play franchise a lot. I feel like a lot of people have been complaining about that, so maybe they will. The little QB1 stuff or whatever they do, like that whole thing I did that like a year or two ago. It was all right, but yeah,
it's been pretty bad since they started doing it. I kind of liked what they were putting out there. I haven't watched anything, but I saw a tweet that said like you start in high school and you don't have to be a quarterback this time.
X factors. Garnett brought up a good point. X factors are huge.
I like that. Yeah, I do like that they're making some efforts with like
special animations for really good players and stuff.
I wonder how much of that. Yeah, I do wonder how much of that is like just a cosmetic thing. Maybe it was already in the game and they're just like putting it in there as like, okay, this guy is like hot now. But I do like the fact that they're at least putting the effort in that sense.
Like once you get Lamar on his 5 10-yard runs, he is unbelievable.
Which is why it's perfect using the Ravens now, because I would always.
Oh my God, they were. That's why it's so fun, because like 04 Michael Vick was always the pinnacle of like best quarterback to use because he was so fast. And this past Madden, I think Lamar started out as a 78, and I was already cooking people, and then he goes up to like a 92 and can throw the ball anywhere you want, and it's so fun.
He still fumbles way too much. That's frustrating. But yeah, overall, I had always been the running QB guy. So like 2011, I pretty much started using the Panthers. I did that for a good while with Cam, who's just an absolute tank. Like he's a beast in that game. And then I don't really know if I had like a go-to team because I didn't really, like I said, I didn't play a ton online, and I haven't been playing against buddies as much recently. But yeah, I always kind of liked going into franchise and like picking the worst team. Like I would do the Browns a lot, and like the Jaguars, and like build them back up. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, that's always fun. That stuff's always fun. So Aaron Askew, sorry if I butchered that, asked Saints 17 draft or
it's like Kevin Smith, the View Askew universe. That's the universe for his movies because it's made by View Askew Studios.
Yes, but Saints 27,
obviously.
Everyone. Saints 2017 draft was what? Marshawn Lattimore, Alvin Kamara, I think Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, Trey Hendrickson. Who else did they have?
I think they had another. Was it Pete that year, or was he a first rounder another year?
No, not Pete. Pete was like 2015, I think. And then who was the other one they had? Alex Anzalone, middle linebacker.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Don't know who else. So then the Ravens had 2018. That was Hayden Hurst, Lamar, Andrews, Orlando Brown, Averett, Bradley Bozeman. Who else was
Pretty
there?
good. I think the Saints is probably a little more flashy. But the Ravens.
The difference is that the Ravens got a quarterback.
Yeah, it's a franchise changer for them. Which,
Right.
I mean, I guess you could say the same thing for the Saints because they hadn't really been consistent with making the playoffs before that draft, and they've been there pretty much every year since. But yeah, I think just for the fact that they got Jackson, I'd probably go Ravens.
The quarterback outweighs it, definitely. But, I mean, the Saints got 3 All-Pros. Has Kamara gotten an All-Pro? Maybe not.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe like a second team. I don't think he's gotten a first team. He's not last year, the year before. He was at an All-Pro level. His rookie year, he was stupid. Then Ramczyk, probably the best right tackle of football. Marshawn Lattimore, him and Humphrey and Trey White have been, the 3 young, dominant, awesome cornerbacks. I love Marshawn Lattimore. He was so good coming out. So maybe a little more. I don't want to say that because Mark Andrews is a top 5 tight end.
So here's the thing with the Saints draft that year. They were going to take Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
They confirmed that they were going to take Mahomes. If they had traded up one spot, they could have gotten him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think that's got to hurt them a little bit.
So then they don't get Lattimore. If that happens, then I imagine they probably don't end up with like Kamara. So we'll see.
Maybe. I mean, they would have only had to move one spot. The Chiefs got in front of them because they knew the Saints were going to take him.
So I mean,
intel. Mickey Loomis, stop worrying about the Pelicans.
Obviously, having Mahomes is great, but then Breeze being able to play at a really high level another couple of years.
I'm with them. They haven't won a Super Bowl.
That's true. The fact that they have had 6 straight, I believe it's 6 straight 1-score losses in the playoffs is unreal.
They don't win a Super Bowl and they didn't take Mahomes. That is an abject failure, especially since they're literally the team every single year that everyone's like, oh, they're going to take a successor to Breeze. They're going to take a successor to Breeze. They did that one year. It was like Garrett Grayson from Colorado State. Not worth it.
Yeah.
Take Mahomes. Come on.
Teddy was so damn it's difficult to process. Teddy.
And now they're just stockpiling every quarterback in the league ever.
Right. Yep. Now they have Jameis. What a strange team. What a strange organization.
They are. I kind of respect the absolute like all-in nature just every year. Like they just don't care about the cap. They don't care about like not having draft picks. It's like, no, we're just going to go all in like every single time. It's like that. And they just never win the Super Bowl. Like it's like your buddy in poker who just doesn't know how to play and he's just like going all in and somehow he's making it to the final hand, but he's busts out right then and there.
Molly's Game. There's a strange.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, really good. Really, really good. I've watched it 2 times. I would never watch it more than 2 times, probably maybe in like 5 years I'll watch it again, but really, really, really good movie.
Yeah, so Round is one of my all-time favorites. So I've definitely had it on the radar for a while. Want to watch that. I want to watch The Cincinnati Kid. It's supposed to be another good poker.
I haven't even heard of that.
It's really old. It's like Paul Newman, but it's supposed to be really good.
Paul Newman is a GOAT. But yeah, back to the Saints. I mean, they're just an interesting team. They always are tough. They came into Baltimore. That was one of the more fun games, especially more fun losses ever in Ravens Stadium.
Do a rewatch of that.
That was a wild game. Flacco, who did he throw the touchdown to that Tucker missed the extra point?
I think it was Brown. It was John Brown, right corner of the end zone.
Oh, yes, it was John Brown. Yep, good call. Yeah, blank there on Brown for a second. Yes, it was. That was all so awesome and a really fun game. But yeah, I love the Saints. They have such cool uniforms, such cool colors. Yeah, since I was little, I've always enjoyed watching them.
You know what? You know your boy loves some Saints.
Yes, they've always been so fun. It's such a shame that I think I've only seen them twice in person because they just don't play the Ravens often, and I'm not down there in good old ding dong, Louisiana too much.
Those are my people.
Raging Cajuns, baby. But yeah, so we'll go in the end 2018 Ravens draft. Just Lamar outweighs.
And because we're homers.
And because we're homers.
Speaking of Lamar, he had a little mishap with a jet ski.
Definitely got blown a little bit out of proportion, like Tony Lombardi.
A little bit, yeah.
Tony Lombardi was like, the entire Ravens season, almost like he jumped into the water.
That's just Tony being Tony.
It's like not like he was on a motorcycle going 115 miles an hour.
Or driving his car going 120 miles an hour, taking a video of it.
That's also true. But
God,
he was cooking on the beach. He was having fun. I like to see it. It looks like he was having some fun. He ended up jumping into the water and like barreling over a jet ski. I think he's gonna be fine. I think he's taken a lot worse hits in his life than by a stationary jet ski in the water. But
I'm very curious about like what he was trying to accomplish. Was he trying to jump over it? Because from the angle, it looks like
you can't quite see. You can't quite see
because he just like he had no chance to clear it. I don't know what he was doing.
Having fun, man. He was having fun on the beach, and that's what I'm happy.
This guy's being dudes, just running around on the beach, throwing a football. You know,
that's what I'm happy about. I hope he gives his shoulder and his arm and his elbow a little rest, chills out for a while. Apparently, from what Hollywood Brown says, they've been throwing all the time, all summer. But I'm happy he's not like as aggressively training as he was after year one, his rookie year. You need a little downtime. I think is good for the soul when you're a quarterback. And he obviously had such a big leap and confident in his mechanics now, and he's just got to get into camp and get with the offense and get all that stuff going. They had their, big meeting down in Florida, throwing the ball around, doing all that good stuff. Good to see. Flacco always took a ton of shit for not doing that. Rightfully so, in my opinion. But it was just such a classic Joe Flacco move to be like, oh, we'll throw in camp. Like,
it's fine. Like, yeah. So that's the type of like content we were getting out of Flacco, and Flacco was a content machine in his own way. Lamar is just a content factory. Like it's just every week, like there's something.
Oh, I jumped over a jet ski and the Madden cover came out. And
News
that's what we didn't talk about. The cover itself is getting a lot of shit. And I think it's so cool because the Ravens team photographer tweeted out about how they couldn't have their photo shoot where it's like Mahomes with a color splash background or any of that stuff.
Those are way too like gaudy for me. Like I don't like those.
And I don't call me a homer, but the fact that it was like team photograph, like good quality images with like a little touch up and a little graphic on the side and their little chalkboard scribble font and stuff. I think it looks damn good. I think it's really cool. It's like classic looking a little bit more.
It had the African wild dog on one of them.
Yeah,
I think it's cool. I like it. It's like kind of a throwback to maybe what they used to do. Not totally, but like kind of in some ways. And yeah, just I don't know, the whole idea of like AB in front of a big yellow screen and Mahomes in front of a green screen. It's like, it just doesn't really do much for me. It's like way too trying to be like futurist. I didn't like it.
It's putting them into, it's like making them half man, half like cartoon game, video gamey. And I don't think there's ever been a cover like this one where it's been like a few images and it's like actual photos.
It kind of looks like a GTA cover.
Yeah, it actually really does look like a GTA cover.
Which I love.
So like the old classic ones were like a player like doing a stiff, like Eddie George doing a stiff arm through like the whole past 10 years. It's been like very video gamey looking. And then like the Madden 00s, like 04, 05, 06, all like the Dante Culpepper one and all that stuff. This is a very different cover. Has a couple images on it. I think it's cool. I think it's very cool.
Yeah, so I was complaining a little bit about the gameplay, but I'm gonna buy it, and I'm gonna buy the physical copy, which I haven't done in a couple of years, just to get that.
I would roast you if you didn't get Madden with Lamar on it. You would get roasted. Maybe I'll buy the actual hard copy, so I have the.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna get the physical copy just because he's on it, and I'm gonna be complaining about the gameplay 5 minutes in.
Well, you always complain because there's always some wonky little bullshit that happens, like Lamar fumbling 4 times a fucking game. Like some stupid shit. I was in contact with guys who work on that game for EA Sports, and one of them finally told me that the reason the quarterbacks fumble so much is because it would be unfair if they didn't.
No, that's obvious. I mean, they would never say that publicly, but that's clearly the only reason.
Yes, that's why he said that in a tweet, so it was public, and it pissed me off so much because I was like, all right, well then make them a little bit slower then, instead of making them fumble all the time. It's annoying. Stupid. There's my rant.
There you go. I knew I'd get it out of you.
There we go.
So Colin Cowherd thinks the Ravens could go 16-0.
Colin Cowherd believes the Ravens could go 16-0. His reasoning was way less like insane than I thought it was going to be headed into the title of the video.
He made some good points.
Yeah, he said that the Ravens, bring everybody back. They were 14-2.
I think the schedule in particular.
That's the big
main
thing.
point, which
he said the toughest road game is Philly, who just lost their literal best player on their entire team. They
Brandon
don't.
Brooks, that is.
Yeah, which is such a shame. He's amazingly good. Feels so bad. He just signed a 6-year deal last year. He was in year 2 of a 6-year deal. So he's a 30-year-old. I mean, that just looks like a shitty deal now. He's in his 30s with a 6-year deal and tore his Achilles. So now that he's never going to be the same. That's the worst injury to sustain. Terrell Suggs never quite had the same juice. You never quite have the same juice after tearing your Achilles. It's very difficult. Advancements haven't been made equivalent to the ACL injuries. But anyway, the Eagles are their toughest road game. They don't travel. They don't go to the West Coast. I mean, no crazy 3-game road stretch or anything like that. So his reasoning was all there. He believes, Lamar is great. And he talked about, maybe blowing the Browns out of the gate and then just getting started. But I think 2 of the last 16 teams that go 14-2 have repeated or gone better. It's you got to have a little luck to go 14-2, let alone 16-0. So it was good points. Though it was an interesting little 4-minute video of Coward, and I love Colin Coward. I think he's so fun.
I used to hate him, but I've really come to respect him. I think he definitely puts the work in, not compared to some of those other guys that do the same type of job that he does. And listening to, I don't really watch or listen to his show all that much, but just listening to him when he goes on with Russillo, who, they always have a great conversation. He just strikes me as a guy who's kind of climbed the mountain. He understands where he's at. And he's not going too crazy with the player criticisms anymore. Like he used to with John Wall, and he still kind of does with Baker, but I obviously sort of see his side in that a little bit. So it's maybe kind of different than before. But I've really come to respect Coward. I don't agree with him here, but I thought he raised some decent points and not his craziest take. That's for sure.
Yeah, not his craziest take. And it was, he basically just said he was going through the schedules and he likes to make predictions for every team every year, which all makes sense. It's all good content. He has a 3-hour freaking show every day. So got to do stuff like that, create the content. It really was just more of a testament to the fact that he feels extremely confident that the Ravens will have a good season and what their system is and all of that good stuff. I mean, how many 14-2 teams have ever brought back head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coach? That is a rarity in itself. So having that stability and quarterback and a young quarterback, let alone, it's very rare. The Ravens are in rare air as far as regular season success, but the burning question is just always going to be, no Ravens fan is going to tell you right now that they're not going to make the playoffs. Maybe a few are out there, but I think that would be a pretty ridiculous argument to say on paper right now they're not making the playoffs. No one really gives a shit about the regular season at this point. Maybe Kansas City a little bit. Obviously people want to win the division, but it's just comes down to playoffs. Doesn't matter what happens in the regular season. Ben Rose makes an amazing point. Joy Taylor is bae. She is awesome. Colin Coward is pretty annoying about the NBA. He can be annoying about the NBA. But yeah, so it just is a testament to Ravens are probably going to be a really good regular season team again. They're a difficult matchup. They're an outlier. They're not a team that you play every week. They have
it can be annoying about the NBA, okay? But here's why. Because people like dynasties. They like the Golden State Warriors. Okay? I mean, it's kind of like my daughter, right? Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I just had to get the impression.
People really like her. People really like my daughter. She's pretty
really like her. Now they're dating the backwards hacking guys.
My daughter, 50,000 followers on Twitter. Not a big deal.
Doing pretty solid for herself.
Her dad does have.
How were you at age 21? Did you have 50,000 followers on Twitter? I don't think so.
Am I a good father? Yeah, I'm a pretty good father.
Is she a dynasty on Twitter? Is the question that a lot of people are asking. And I'm going to tell you right after the break. It's a herd on FS1.
Joy Taylor is bae. Great show. Love Colin Coward's content. Like you said, there's points where there's nothing to watch. I will turn it on. And
I actually sometimes will fall down I do the same thing with Rogan. I'll just see a clip on YouTube and I'll click on it and then I'll just fall down a rabbit hole where I'll watch 3 of them.
Yes, that happens commonly. FS1, I like FS1. FS1's interesting.
It's okay. They're really just trying to do the whole ESPN Embrace Debate thing. They even brought over Jamie Horowitz, who was the programming director for Embrace Debate. So he tried to just recreate it with Undisputed. So Skip and Shannon, obviously supposed to just be Skip and Stephen A. And then some of the other guys they brought in, and they've reformatted since then, so it's not as bad. I don't even know if they have Jamie Horowitz anymore. But like I said, I like Cowherd. FS1's fine.
Yeah, they're fine. Did a good job there in the market, all that good stuff. But
speaking of Rogan, did you hear the Bill Burr episode? last week. Recommend. It's
Mm.
like 3 hours long, and they just like smoke cigars, and it's Bill at his most.
I
memorable.
saw that he was on, and I've seen it. I just haven't. Sometimes I like get very hot and cold with Joe Rogan. I like don't.
I agree.
always
Yeah, there are
watch.
some guests that I just don't give a shit about. In fact, a lot of the time that's the case. But when he has a good one, which he and Burr, great chemistry, and then Bill Burr. I just watched King of Staten Island. So
How was that? How was King of Staten
It
Island?
was pretty good. It was it was. I don't know, like, so my friends really wanted to watch it like the day we left the beach. So I was like, it's Sunday. Like, I don't know if I want to like hang around and watch this like 2-hour movie, whatever it is. And they were like, yeah, it's the new Pete Davidson comedy. I was like, guys, I don't know what you're expecting this to be, but it's definitely not going to be like this laugh out loud comedy. It's like kind of autobiographical of Pete Davidson, who has had sort of a rough go of things, at points. And so it's definitely not like funny enough that it's a straight up comedy. And it's not like there's not enough in it where it's just like a straight up.
Is it like a feel good? Is that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, in its own way, it is. Like, it's pretty dark material. Like, it's like I said, it's autobiographical, and like Pete's dad died in like 9/11, and so like in the movie, like his dad just died in like a fire or whatever. And it gets to the point where it's feel good. It's like it's heavy subject matter, like I said, but it is funny. Like I said, not laugh out loud like super bad type funny, but it's a lot of funny moments, and it's it's a good feel good story at the end of things.
I really like his most recent stand-up on Netflix. It was pretty damn good from start to finish. He's very self-aware as a comedian and like makes fun of himself a lot. So
it is Judd Apatow directed too, which I did not know going into it.
That makes sense. The whole feel-good kind of dark satirical shit fits into that mold. So I probably will watch that at some point soon. But yeah, his stand-up too. I actually just watched, as we divulge, I watched season 6 of the show Alone, which for some reason the only season 6 is on Netflix. It is a show where 10 contestants they're survival experts of different sorts, end up getting taken and put in a super extreme climate. The one that I watch is the Arctic Circle, and whoever lasts the longest without quote unquote tapping out and calling to get picked up gets $500,000. And I watched it from start to finish in like 3 days. Really easy watch, interesting, crazy stuff, very well done, and I enjoyed it.
I want to say I've been doing more reading than TV watching recently.
Good.
Started into a Muhammad Ali biography just called Ali, A Life, which is very good so far. And nearing the end of a book called Say Nothing, which is about these murders that took place during the Troubles in Northern Ireland.
I would highly recommend.
One of the best books I've ever read.
My favorite author is John Grisham. And
yeah, I've read a ton of Grisham.
Oh, yeah. I just watched, I finished reading and then watched, A Time to Kill?
Yeah.
A Time to Kill.
Damon?
No, that is...
Pelican Brief, right?
No, that's Tom Cruise. It's the Damon one.
I've never really seen any of the movies.
Let me look it up.
Some of the books, though. Yeah,
The Rainmaker is the Damon one. Okay. Pelican Brief, I think, is Tom Cruise. But yeah, Time to Kill stars. Why am I? Oh, Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
It has Matthew McConaughey and Samuel L. Jackson. Really good movie, really good book. Highly recommend.
Kill? I don't think so. I think it's a time to chill. Play a little foosball. All right.
And now we've divulged, or whatever. I'm done.
Divulged. What'd you do this past weekend?
Went to a brewery.
How was that?
Good. Everyone social distance and had masks on until you got to your table. Malacca, something in Montgomery County. And then I went to one of my buddies that lived in Fed Hill for, I think, 2 or 3 years. My friend Matt, who now lives in New York and works for the Yankees, came down to visit. So I went to Fed Hill and hung out and had a little, pit fire at my friend's house that he used to live with, and hung out there. And then nothing. Painted my mom's like whole freaking house for her. That took 2 days.
That was nice of you.
Yeah, it was a pain, and she has a lot of stuff that has to be moved before you can paint. But yeah. How was OC? How was OC?
Oh, it was good. Got a little golf in. Beach was a little crowded, but I feel like that's kind of not a huge issue. We were all 6 feet apart. Went to Fishtails for like half an hour. It was not really worth it, so we all just kind of went back. And yeah, it was pretty low key. weekend at the beach, probably my most low-key one in a while, and it was nice. Yeah. How was Sandwich Wednesday?
Sandwich Wednesday was fantastic. For those of you listening, I've started a movement of Sandwich Wednesday every Wednesday. Follow on Instagram at @sandwich_Wednesday.
You started that?
Yeah, me and my buddy Sam started it. Okay. And we're trying to bring the world together one sandwich at a time. We encourage everyone to have a sandwich with us every Wednesday for lunch and bring people together through sandwiches. That's our goal. And we are.
I should have said, I didn't know you were running it. Because I just see you reposted on your personal story, but I did a little lightly toasted bread, turkey, Swiss, lettuce, mustard.
Turkey is by far the best lunch meat. Like I don't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It like you start to get like into territory with like salami. I think salami is better than turkey, but I can't eat salami every day. I can eat turkey every day.
That's why. Yes, there's things that might taste better on any given day, but I could have a turkey sandwich in different ways for lunch every day, and every day I'd be like, this turkey is so good, especially like carved turkey. Oh my god.
Yeah, man. That's legit.
But yeah, follow Sandwich Wednesday if we like your sandwich the best. If your sandwich is our favorite sandwich, send us a DM, send us a picture, and we will Venmo the favorite sandwich so that you can have a sandwich again the next week. And we just want everyone to come together through sandwiches, a good old, actually British, but we're going to pretend like it's American invented pastime.
Very cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
you're an inspiration. You inspired me to start running too. We got to talk about that, I guess.
Yeah, Nike Run Club. Nike Run Club is a lot of fun. I would highly recommend.
Thing, dude, I don't know how.
Huh?
You're a beast on that thing.
I'm telling you, do the trainer. You can go to the middle tab of Nike Run Club, I believe, and it'll have you do one endurance run, which is it basically asks you, what is a long run for you in terms of miles. What's up, Nico Canalupo? It asks you what a long run is. It asks you what a fast time would be for a mile. It asks you how often you would like to run. Asks you how tall you are.
Is that the guided runs? Because I have been doing those.
Go to My Coach. So in the middle tab, there's Quick Start, Guided Runs, My Coach. And you can pick a plan, and it kind of tests you for like the first 2 weeks as you do like kind of moderate running and times you on it. And it unlocks like a couple, like there's interval runs and stuff that you didn't even know you could do in the app. And yeah, I've gotten a lot faster over the past month from doing it.
Yeah, because I was telling you, I've been on a pretty good workout, consistent thing prior to COVID. Then that happened, and I just stopped, which is through my own fault, obviously. So I saw you and Big Walt over from Flock Talk, which is a great show.
Dude, Walt books it for like 7 miles.
He does. I saw you guys, and I was like, shit, they're making me look bad here. I got to start picking it up. So yeah, I got my ass out of bed and did the first run and then the next run yesterday and today.
Hell yeah. And then I would say do that. It'll have you run a little bit and get you faster, get you in better shape. I did like the I want to get fit option. I think there's a couple different ones, but I've been getting I've had shin splints every day for.
Well, you're a lot of man to be carrying on those legs.
That is what it is, I think. So I've got like compression sleeves that are like these like Nike compression things. Got some.
You tell me that you're getting wristbands and a headband that match.
No way. I can't. I don't like anything on me when I run. I hate that I have to carry my phone now. I need to get like the.
So I do a hat and my Bose headphones, and I carry my phone and my wallet.
I play music through my phone and carry it in my hand, and that's it.
Interesting. Do you ever come across people
running?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they think of your music?
Don't ask. Don't care. Don't. If I see people, I'll like turn it down a little bit. I run to weird music.
I was gonna say, I don't know what you're listening to when you're running, but I feel like it's not gonna be
primarily EDM that is like super weird trancey stuff. I like to run to. It's just like goes in my head, and I just like focus on it.
That's kind of sick.
I like it. I've gotten some good. I end up finding really weird music that I like through that type of genre when I'm running.
So are you just Spotify, like you throw one on and you just let it roll, or?
I have Spotify and Apple Music. I like Apple Music's like.
Oh, must be nice, dog.
I like their radio stations better. Like you can pick a song and create a station from an individual song, and it'll play more like it. And you can choose to either love a song or to play less like this.
You can do the same thing on Spotify.
I don't get results on Spotify like I like. I like Apple Music better.
Interesting. I've heard the opposite.
I'm a big Apple Music guy, big fan.
Well, I mean, if you can afford to have both, then you're obviously doing great. So,
Well, I have Hulu, and you get a free Spotify with Hulu.
oh, I thought it was the other way around. Maybe okay.
Maybe that's whatever it was. I wanted Hulu, and I ended up getting both because I wanted Hulu because there's a lot of good stuff on Hulu.
Yeah, there is.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy the world that we live in today with the streaming services as opposed to 10, like within our lifetime, how different TV itself is fucking nuts, man. Like having
we were going to Blockbuster as kids, and now there's just
yes, we were like the last of the Blockbusters kids. Yes, like there was one in town in Hampstead where I grew up, and I used to go there all the time. And then it turned into Redbox a little bit, and then now like Hulu, Amazon, shit that's on Xfinity, like everything. It's wild.
That's
wild,
why
wild,
King
wild.
of Staten Island is $20 to rent because it was supposed to go in theaters, but then Corona.
Crazy.
Like, you know what? We can release this to everyone. We're just going to make it super expensive.
Right. And then the whole transformation of what movies get put into theaters and which movies are successful at theaters. If it doesn't have explosions, it doesn't really do well at the box office. I actually saw that I can't remember what it exactly was, but it did even better at the box office than I would have thought. I looked it up the
What
other
did
day.
even better at the box office?
Ha 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 ha. Let's see. 701 million at the box office. It was only at a $35 million budget. Nuts.
Yeah, I mean, if you have and that's like a cult classic that has it's got a ton of intrigue to it. So you feel like that's going to be like a big, I don't know if it came out in the summer, but big summer horror hit, draws a ton of people out. So yeah, I guess that's not that shocking. Heard it was well made, never going to watch it.
I watched It Chapter 2. I didn't watch the first one, but It Chapter 2 did 473 million at the box office. It was actually pretty good. I liked it.
I'm sure it's a good movie, but I'm just not one of those people that can be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit down and watch a 2.5 hour movie where a clown tortures children. I think that's not in the cards for me.
It makes sense. I watched it with people, so it wasn't my choice necessarily. I was pleasantly surprised at the quality of film. But fun fact, the first ever summer blockbuster was Jaws.
Really? So it didn't just it wasn't just the first successful one. It was just the first one.
It was the first thrilling, kind of horror thriller that came out. And after that, everyone started aiming to release in the summer. It started like a trend because Jaws was Steven Spielberg's first movie, and everyone was so confused and thought that the shark was animatronic. They thought it was going to look like shit. They had so many problems during filming with it and it breaking and having to be fixed over and over and over again. And they didn't know that Steven Spielberg was going to edit and cut the living shit out of that movie and make it perfect. And so during filming, they thought it was going to be not that great. And I think it had, let me look it up. Hold on. It had a $9 million budget. This was 1975, and it did 470 million at the box office in 1975.
You could buy a small nation with that.
Yeah, it shattered all kinds of records, put Steven Spielberg on the map, but it created a summer blockbuster theme, and that was run with through Transformers and all that stuff, and still today. So it set the tone, and Jaws really is such a good movie. Really a good movie. If you've never watched it, I would highly recommend. It's fun to watch in the summer, but I guess it's old enough now where it's not super realistic, so you might not get all spooked out, but it made people stop going to the beach for 3 years.
It's kind of like the Orson Welles effect, where they were broadcasting War of the Worlds over the radio in the 1930s or whatever, and people tuned in late, and they thought there was a real alien invasion going on.
Yep.
It's crazy the effect that pop culture can have.
Orson Welles is one of the most polarizing figures. Insane man. But Jaws, check it out. Good movie. Good stuff.
That's a good take. Jaws is a good movie. I like that.
Yeah, I like Jaws. I've watched it quite a few times. I had to rewatch it for class at Towson a couple years ago, and I actually watched it in theater at Towson. They have an auditorium for the electronic media and film department, and it was really fun to watch on a big screen with sound effects and everything.
All right. Well, we definitely have to get out of here. My laptop battery is on 5 minutes. So really appreciate you guys listening. Follow the show on Twitter at Podcast Beatdown. Follow me at Jake Luke, LOUQUE. You can follow Spencer at Ravens for Dummies. That's the number 4 in the middle. Really appreciate you guys listening. We'll try to get another episode out before next week. And see you next week. If not,
see ya.
Peace.